calling the meeting to order. The introduction of late items is none. I'll explain that. Yeah, Alex. We have to put the mask on. Okay. Sorry, Tom, can you put your mask on? There you go. Okay. Recommended resolution that the agenda for the regular council meeting of September 21, 2021 be approved. Do I have a motion, please?
I so move.
You got to press your button there.
I move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Minutes of previous meeting, recommended resolution that the minutes of the regular council meeting that was held on September 7th, 2021 be adopted. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second? Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Petition in delegations. Delegations from Sayward Futures Board regarding the permissive tax exemption request. That's right now.
Can I take this off to talk? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am here on behalf of Sayward Future Society, representing the membership, and I'm the chair of Sayward Futures. So I've come tonight to ask for a permissive tax exemption for 3 years, for 3 years. And today I distributed some information. But before I get started on talking about the financial information, I'd just like to give you a little history on Sayward Futures. It's got a proven track record of 21 years as a nonprofit organization in this community. It's evolved through the years since it was given the old working wharf and now owns, operates, and maintains the wharf for all residents of Sayward Valley, visitors, and tourists. The wharf is open to all. The wharf, and indeed Sayward Future Society, would not exist today if it weren't for the wharf usage for the fish transport to area fish farms by Moe. There's no written contract. There was no written contract in the beginning, and Moe was generous with financial support when major repairs were needed to keep the wharf operational. Since the beginning, they were always there to provide funds if emergency work needed to be done on the wharf, and Sayward Futures didn't have the funds to carry through with it. So as I got involved in 2016, we still only had a verbal agreement with Moe. There was no written agreement, and Moe never ever treated us anything but fairly and equitably, and were always there to support us. But there came a time when the wharf was needing a lot of repairs, and we simply didn't have the money for it. So we met with Moe and arranged a financial agreement that is still not signed, but it is written, where we would put a certain amount away for wharf repairs. So when the application was made for this permissive tax grant, we just submitted our financial statements for the previous 3 years. So we've And it looks like we have a lot of cash, but I've distributed some more information that breaks down how much we have put aside in the wharf account and where it's designated to go. So, and I believe that these papers and information will be held on file at the village office, so that if anybody wants to have a look at them, they can come in and see them. So the long-term wharf bank account is set up to cover the major repairs to be done to the main dock. That does not include the finger dock. In March of 2018, a Kelsey Bay wharf inspection was done by North Island Engineering, and the cost of replacing the piling was estimated to be $750,000. And that's in section 5.5 of the included inspection report. So from that time, and with meeting with MOE and deciding to set up an account, we decided to transfer 50% of the income from MOE to a reserve account to cover the cost. And the report that was done in 2018 is for 5 years, and that report alone cost us $18,000. So we do have a lot of expenses for operating and maintaining the wharf. And so the new rates, in order to apply for grants, we're required to have up to 50% to match the grant that we apply for. And when I first started, there was $7,500 in the MOE account, and there was no grants that we could apply for because we didn't have the matching funds. So the information for you is that new rates were negotiated with MOE and came into effect in September 2019, and the agreement is attached. A truckload rate of $90 did not change from previous years, but a new rate of $200 for boat moorage was added at this date. Also, it was agreed that 50% of all charges would be transferred to the main wharf account to cover all major repairs to the wharf. And that was 50% of the total amount that we took in from MOE. It was also agreed that 20% of all charges would be used for minor repairs to the wharf. For example, painting, signage, upkeep, railings, and maintenance. The remaining 30% was to be used for the everyday expenses for Sayward Future Society, and that includes utilities, internet, housing, Ocean View gifts, the telephone, for the expenses that we had surrounding Canada Day, community donations, and also for maintaining and keeping up the finger dock. So the paper that I've given you lists how much revenue has come in to date from Maui, and 50% was transferred to the wharf bank account. So a transfer of $14,000 was completed on August the 27th. And if you look at the numbers, you can see that 20% went to minor repairs to the wharf and 30% to Sayward Future's expenses. And then the minor repairs to the wharf, 20% from the sales, and this was a total as of September 20th, was $6,000 and $49.55. So that leaves a negative balance of $447.55. Sayward Futures revenue and expenses. Revenue to September 20th plus the 30% Sayward Futures expense is $21,830.57, and the expenses have been $29,992.11 to leave a balance of in the negative of $8,161.54. The bookkeeper also included the amounts paid by MOE in 2020 and 2019, and included a note that in 2018, a total of $24,902.50 was transferred to the wharf account. So the wharf is getting very old, and in the report from the professional engineer, he has listed immediate costs, sort of 2 to 3 year costs, and then the 5-year costs. And he recommends that within 5 years that the pilings should be replaced, and goes on to describe how difficult it is to replace them because of the way the beams and planks go. So it's not just pulling out the piling and putting in another one, but the pilings have to be removed and then part of the wharf taken apart so that the new ones can be put in. So the final numbers for sorry, just let me find my page here. So as of September the 20th, our wharf account balance stands at $126,782.34. To be transferred into that is $14,151.90. So it takes the subtotal up to $140,934.24. And the expenses, major repairs, as per the quote in the 5-year report and recommendations, is $750,000. So at this point, we have a negative balance that we need to accrue of $609,065.76. So it's not like it looks like we have $126,000 in the wharf account, which we do, but within the next 2 years, we'll be having to spend at least that much, and then another $609,000 to get the repairs done that we need to do to keep the wharf up and running. One of the things that I really want to stress is that everyone is free and able to use the wharf. It is a major attraction in Sayward. It promotes economic activity with moorage and the boats, the moe ships coming in. And it also attracts tourists to the gift shop. It attracts visitors and locals alike. So we weren't open for 2020, and we just opened for a month in August this year. So we had a huge crowd of people come down, and we feel that the wharf is going to be really much more used with the increase in attracting people to come and live here and to develop more economically around tourism. So what we're asking for tonight is for you to consider granting the permissive tax exemption for Sayward Futures. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
So the money that you have, the 125,000, it is, do you have monies put away in a separate account that is specific for the dock?
Yes. Only for the large dock. The small dock is what Sayward Futures is responsible for, and that repairs and maintenance comes out of the 30% that is allocated to Sayward Futures for running the store and keeping the hydro on and the regular monthly things that we need to do to keep that place viable.
Okay, so there is a separate account for the capital project for the main.
Yes.
And no one can touch that, correct?
Only
Until-
only to pay for wharf expenses and major repairs. And it's also in the contract with MOE that we are responsible for showing to them how we've used that money over the year or during the years, so that we are accountable for it too. It's not to be used for taking a trip to Toronto for a trade show or something like that. It's strictly for the major wharf repairs.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Paulson. We're going to move to recommendation. Sorry, go ahead, CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Baker. We know that we're short one councillor at this moment. We're expecting Councillor Kirshner to sign on. I wonder if it might be worth postponing the vote on this item and coming back to it once we have a quorum.
Agreed. Agreed. Councillor Tinsley? Agreed? Okay, so please remind me to go back to that in the future. Thank you. So correspondence, recommended resolution, the correspondence from A to E be received. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that it be received.
Second, please.
Sorry, I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Yep. Opposed? Seeing none, motion carried. Resolution to help the Linton rebuild. Mayor and Council of the Village of Sayward will contribute $1 for each of the 311 persons in the Sayward Valley. Pardon me, in the Village of Sayward. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion?
Uh,
Councillor Tinsley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I realize we're quite a bit smaller village than Lytton, but I think it is important that people who live in these communities that we're able to contribute in some way to each other, especially for this type of emergency thing. So I think it's a reasonable proposition. Thank you.
I completely agree. If we were in the position that that community was in, we would hope and pray for support as well. So we had a motion. It was not opposed. Motion was carried. Next is the recommended resolution that the Ministry of Municipal Affairs conduct a board consultative process in partnership with the Union of British Columbia Municipalities, Lower Mainland and Local Government Association, and all local governments in BC to solicit feedback with tangible and objective rationale to support the amendment in Section 19 of the Local Government Act to require municipal councils to appoint the mayor or the mayor's designate as the municipal director to the regional District Board, and that this motion be forwarded to the Honorable Josie Osborne, Minister of Municipal Affairs. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second? Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Council reports? None. Reports of committees? None. Mayor's report? None. Unfinished business? None. Staff reports? CAO?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chair. This staff report is to seek council approval to allocate $2,500 from the COVID-19 reserve funds to cover the cost of duct cleaning in the Kelsey Centre and the village administrative officers. Basically, this is something that's done on a regular basis, but we've increased it this year just because of the risk of COVID and the importance of having clean, fresh air. We've received an estimate for this work, and so we would like council approval to authorize the use of the COVID-19 reserve funds to cover this item.
Thank you. So recommended resolution that the use of the COVID-19 reserve fund staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Sorry, I just
Councillor
want to add,
Tinsley?
did we want to also add the second part of that motion into the whole,
I will make a second motion on that.
what's happened? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Nope, that's fine. Thank you. And discussion against? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Second is that the staff will be authorized to transfer $2,500 from the COVID-19 reserve for duct cleaning costs. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Finally, the recommended resolution that the 2021 to the 2025 financial plan be adjusted accordingly. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. September 30th on Truth and Reconciliation Day. The recommended resolution is to the September 30th to be proclaimed as a day where citizens of the village of Sayward can consider what each of us can do to advance reconciliation with the Indigenous people and create more inclusive community. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second? Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Next, the recommended resolution is that the administrative offices of the Kelsey Center be closed September 30th, Truth and Reconciliation Day, as a day of commemoration. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. The next is on the permissive tax exemption for 2022 for Sayward Futures. We are going to move that into a later time. If Councillor Kirschner attends, if not, we'll have to move that to the next meeting. Certainly. Okay.
Chair,
We're just going to do a
just-
quick hold. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know that I've been texting our clerk who's been actually trying to, we did get a hold of him on the phone. He was trying to sign in and I think she was trying to help him, but no sign of him yet. So
Okay.
unfortunately,
I think we're going to be better off moving this to the next council meeting altogether.
The problem with that is that we have some deadlines. You'll notice on page 32 of the staff report, or 31 rather,
Mhm.
there's a couple of deadlines in there that come from the Local Government Act with respect to.
Permissive tax.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we have until next October 5th, we have to bring the bylaw forward. So I suppose there's no, I'll check with the CFO to see if she's aware of any reasons why we can't do the vote at the October 5th meeting when we have the bylaw in front of us. Yeah. Right, but yeah, well, that's one option. The other option is to do the bylaw, and then, we'll have it ready if there's a vote in favor, because that would be easier than a special meeting, I think. Mhm.
Okay,
I think
because
that's what we'll
he
have to
can't
do.
vote by proxy.
Well, maybe it would be helpful, Council, to talk about the terms of the exemption right now. I think what was being proposed was a 5-year exemption, and maybe we should turn this over to the CSO who's prepared the staff report to bring us through the details. Well, didn't you just say something about the terms that you want and the length of time, which is up to 10 years, but we're proposing 5?
Mhm. Okay. I'm going to make a call here and say that we're going to do a special meeting. Okay, so we're going to move on from that. We'll do a special meeting since we won't have quorum if Councillor Polson steps away. So we're going to move on to number 12, bylaws, fees and charges amendment bylaw 477. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This relates to the earlier staff report that Council looked at a month ago, where it was proposed to amend the fees and charges bylaw to reflect a different rate for mobile vendors. Currently in the fees and charges bylaw, the fee for a business license for a mobile vendor is $300. Now, I just want to remind Council that the purpose of a fees and charges bylaw is to recover the costs for municipal services. So while $300 may seem like a lot, in fact, that is the only charge that the mobile vendor has in terms of services. That's the only charge that we impose to use unlimited power, water, and sewage and garbage pickup. So I think it's important that Council recognize that while businesses may feel that the fees are a bit high, the purpose of the fees and charges bylaw is to recover costs to pay for municipal services. And so the idea that mobile vendors pay more is because they don't have an existing presence in the community. They don't pay taxes through their home. They don't have a brick and mortar business where they contribute to fees and charges. And they don't have a business that's in the community offering other services, employment, or et cetera. So that I just want to caution Council that amending the fees and charges bylaw for business licenses is an important step in the recovery of municipal services fees. So on the last meeting, Council did ask staff to bring back a revised fees and charges schedule, which is on page 36 of your agenda tonight. At that meeting, I think $100 was proposed as being the revised fee for a mobile vendor. And so therefore you have before you the fees and charges bylaw number 477 and the opportunity to take first and second and third reading to amend that schedule to enable Schedule 1 or Schedule I, sorry, to repeal the existing Schedule I and replace it with a new one, which is attached to the bylaw and reflects on page 39 of your agenda, the new proposed fee of $100 for mobile vending. Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did we not discuss the fee amendment for $100 strictly for that one mobile vendor?
No, I think the way that the business license Schedule I is written is that any mobile vendor would pay $100 under the proposed business license fees that are included here. So you'll see that the rest of the fees are ascribed to each business based on the criteria that's on the left-hand column there. What the type of business, the number of employees, how many units are available. So there's a bit of a breakdown within that schedule. However, mobile vending is not broken down. It's established as a flat fee per business.
No, understood, but I thought we were discussing just that one mobile vendor for that $100 and the fees would remain the same going forward. Councillor Tinsley, you got your hand up, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do recall the discussion around making exemption for one particular vendor. I thank CAO though for the explanation of what we're talking about in terms of a bylaw being in place. And I don't believe it's in the interest of the community to well, I don't think we can put one in place for one vendor in denial of other vendors. And I also believe that the description of the charges relative to the time a mobile vendor could be here is reasonable. So I'm understanding this better. And although we did have that discussion about one vendor, I don't think it's in the interest of the community to pursue that for one vendor. Thank you.
So Councillor Tinsley, what you're recommending is we go back to the $300 fee, is that correct?
That's correct. I would say we need to stick to that charge.
Okay, so we're not going to be, and Councillor Polson, what's your views?
I seem to recollect that the mobile vendor would be paying the campsite fees of $25 per day for use of the services there, as well as the $100 business license. So I'm not quite sure how that would work if we go back to the $300 for the business license for mobile vendors, and then they're still having to pay the $25 a day fee for using the services. So
CEO?
Sorry, the $25 fee, through the chair to Councillor Polson. The $25 fee is to park at the campground and use that parking facility. It includes power, so that is part of the recovery for the campsite. The business license fee is to enable a business to carry out their work, without any other costs and without having to camp. In other words, they could to theoretically park anywhere. Now, in this case, they do need power and they do need water and they do probably produce some garbage, and sewer. So that is the purpose of the business license fee, is to cover the costs for municipal services while the business is carrying out their business. So that's a separate fee from the campground fee, because typically a mobile vendor wouldn't be in the campground. In some communities, councils might identify a site where mobile vendors can set up. So then once they've got their business license, they can come and go as they please, and plug in and use whatever they need once they've got a license. And so that's the difference between the campground fee and the business license fee.
thank you.
Okay, so we're going to bring this to a vote. First, the recommended resolution that the report on the permissive tax exemptions 2022 be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second,
I'll second.
discussion? Opposed? Hearing none? Carried. Sorry, Councillor Tinsley?
You mentioned a permissive tax exemption? Like, I thought we were voting on these
No,
charges.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know.
I just want to come back to where we were.
You're correct. Thank you. Sorry, I read the wrong line. I apologize. Recommended resolution that the fees and charges amendment bylaw 477 staff report be received for information and discussion. Do I have a motion, please? Strictly for receive and information.
I'll move that we receive for information.
Second,
I'll second that.
discussion? Opposed?
Sorry.
Discussion? Councillor Tinsley?
We had discussions about it, right? And I don't think
Yeah.
we've come to an agreement on whether we want to amend this, right?
Correct. What we're going to do is we're just, right now, we're just receiving the information for discussion. On the next line that I'm going to read for a bylaw, to whether to give it first, second, and third, that's where it can be defeated.
Okay, fine.
So opposed on the fees and charges amendment? The staff report to be received for information. Anyone opposed? Nope. Hearing none, motion carried. Second recommended resolution that the fees and charges amendment bylaw 477 2021 be given first, second, and third reading. Motion, please.
I'll move it. We got to get it so we can get discussion and more discussion, I guess.
Yeah, I have to bring it to discussion first, Councillor Tinsley.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So a second. Oh, there we go.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. Discussion was that Councillor Tinsley, that you brought up that we go back to the old and we do not make the amendment to these changes, correct?
That's correct. I think it's too early to make this kind of change, and especially since we were considering only one vendor, and this is going to be a blanket situation.
Okay, thank you. So opposed,
Opposed, that would be me.
Councillor Tinsley, Councillor Polson. It's a being, where we're on is the fees and charges amendment bylaw 477 2021 be given first, second, and third reading. If it's given first, second, and third reading, then it's done.
I oppose.
Motion defeated.
Chair, can I make a comment?
By all means, CAO.
Thank you. I just want to remind council that on August the 17th, council passed a resolution to amend Schedule 1. And so if council is reviewing that now, then that resolution should be rescinded. It's on page 36 of the agenda on the staff report. You'll see that as background, there's the resolution that was passed on August the 17th.
And we're looking at option B.
Well, I think if council is proposing to not go ahead with amending that fees and charges schedule to set the fee at $100, then I think a resolution that council rescind the August 17th resolution that stated to establish fees for municipal services to establish the license fees.
Thank you. Recommended resolution that council rescinds the August 17th change for the fees. I'll just get the proper wording, sorry. Thank you.
In the minutes.
Council rescinds motion number 451. Nope. R21, I can't, sorry, I don't see it on here. That's fine.
Maybe in the minutes.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, thank you. The council rescinds R21/199. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Sorry, just give me a moment here, please. Okay, so that all got. I just, hey, number 13, new business. None. Public question period. The purpose of the question period would permit people in the gallery to ask questions about issues discussed at council during the regular meeting. Speakers would be allowed to ask one question each if time permits. After everyone has had the opportunity to question, speakers would be allowed to ask a second question. For the record, they would state their name and address. And given that there is nobody in the audience tonight, we are going to be calling this meeting, the regular public meeting, adjourned. And we will be going into camera. The recommended resolution that in section 92 of the community charter, this council meeting will be closed to the public. And at this time, council may give consideration to matter in accordance section 90 of the community charter to discuss labor relations or other employee relations. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.